Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here, and welcome to episode 28 of Warframe, the Ultimate Beginner's Guide. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the boss on Sedna, and also maybe possibly the boss on Pluto as well, because a lot of you guys have been asking me about that. So, at this point in the game, realistically, like, everything is more or less up to you. Like, what weapons you go for, what frames you're after next is kind of up to you, and, like, just basically going out farming endo and things like that. You just have to go out of your way and go and do it, because that's what this game is about. It's about grinding, it's about farming things. So you want to go out, you want to like up that stockpile of credits, you want to up that stockpile of endo, you want to upgrade those mods, you want to form those weapons, things like that. And obviously you refer back to these guides for reference on things to do, right? Like if you're stuck at any certain point, chances are I have a guide sort of covering, like, the basics of whatever it is that you're stuck at, right? So today we're going to be talking about the boss on Sedna, and this is the loadout that we're going to be doing it with. We're going to be using Mesa, the Soma, the Twin GRAKATAS, and the Broken War. Now, the two important things you have to keep in mind here is the Mesa build and the Twin GRAKATAS build, right? Because how Mesa works is she has a very powerful ultimate ability, which basically allows you to completely shatter any enemy that you aim at, right? It's called Peacemaker. She takes off the pistols from her wrist, like you can see, and then she just completely murders whatever it is, depending on the mods that you have on your secondary weapon, right? So if we take a look at the abilities here, Mesa has a very unique kit of abilities because it's more centered around buffing yourself up and then like going in for the final kill type thing, right? So we have Shooting Gallery here, which is one of her main abilities in my opinion. All the abilities here are useful in my opinion, apart from Ballistic Battery. That one is kind of like a niche ability that I barely ever use. Of course you can use that, it's just one that I don't use too much. Shooting Gallery is basically like a damage buff, so you see your damage percentage right there, you see your duration, and also has a range on it, right? And what the range does is any enemy that comes into close proximity of you, whenever you have this buff around you, there's a chance to actually disarm that enemy, right? So it's a really cool ability to have because it's a form of crowd control. So if you mod for a little bit of range in Mesa, you have a tiny bit of crowd control which will keep you alive versus those high level enemies. Next up, we have Shatter Shield, which is again one of her really awesome abilities. This is probably one of her best abilities in my opinion. And you see that on the right hand side there, it gives you a damage reduction percentage of 95%. And this also reflects back the incoming fire back at the enemies. And that lasts for about 60 seconds, right? So we see our range in meters here as well. So obviously that has a range to sort of determine like how far the bullets can be like reflected back, I guess you could say. So that is really all that's there for. And other than that, Peacemaker is the final ability here, and all this is this is like you're just going to completely murder any enemy that you're aiming at with the two pistols. You can see the damage multiplier here, you can see the field of view, you see the energy per second, but we're not going to worry too much about that right now. This is the build that I'm running. It's a 4-forma build, and if you have 4-form on it, whenever you get an XLS adapter, you're going to be able to go ahead and then throw that there on, and then you'll be able to throw on, like, let's say Pyro Drift or something to give yourself more damage. You'll be able to throw on Prime mods as well. So this is like a future-proof build that I'm showing right now, as well as this Twin GRAKATAS build right here as well. This is also like a future-proof build for whenever you get things like, Prime Pistol Gambit, maybe Prime Target Cracker. You might have to form it one more time, actually, to throw that on. Actually, let's see. I have actually messed this build up a little bit here. Let's see. Go ahead and fix that up real quick. Okay, the reason that I messed that build up is because I haven't actually got the mod that I'm missing. Okay, so on this slot right here, you'd actually throw on a mod known as Barrel Diffusion. That's a multi-shot mod that you get from the Gristag free, which you get by okay, so those are basically assassins. They chase you once you've done enough invasions against the Grenier. So it's kind of like the Stalker, except they're the Stalker of the Grenier faction. 3 of them spawn at a time, and every single one of them has a chance to drop Barrel Diffusion, Split Chamber, and Hell's Chamber, as well as Natural Talent, parts for the weapon known as the Brak, and Neurodes. Okay, so they're just toad-like creatures. You can get captured by them if they manage to kill you, and then basically what happens then, if you remember at the start of the game, you got like a little device on you that you had to, like, build something to kind of take off yourself. That thing gets put back on you again, but this time it just makes you, I believe, take more damage from the Grenier. So saying I don't have that mod, I just went ahead and threw on another element, so I doubled up on my elements. So what I could do is I could throw on the dual stat elemental mod from either, let's see, let's just go ahead and fix this a little bit here. Maybe I don't have pathogen rounds. Okay, so I don't have pathogen rounds. So what I did is I used the Pistol Pestilence mod, which I got from the Void after I killed the Corrupted Vor, which is also a boss that we'll talk about as well. I'll show you how to get to him. And then I doubled up on fire damage, like so. So I threw that on there, and then I threw on my Geostat Elemental for fire damage like that. So this is what I call doubling up, and this is obviously my elemental combo, which gives me my 75% boost versus particular enemies, right? So let's just go ahead and jump into the actual fight now, I guess, because that's all you really need to know, okay? So we'll talk a little bit more about Mesa, but basically the Mesa build that I showed is a tank build, and you're going to be getting most of your damage from Peacemaker, from the mods that you have on your, what's it called, on your secondary weapon. So we're just going to go ahead and jump into this. Now you'll realize, actually, before we jump into this, you actually need to do these missions right here called arena missions, right? You have to do these arena missions, and like upon completing these arena missions, what you'll get is these judgment points, and you can see how many judgment points you have by hovering over Yam or Marrow, and then you have to like have a certain amount before you can enter into the next stage. These missions right here are very good for farming endo, but they can be very difficult as well. So as you progress as a Warframe player, you're going to be able to sort of like, you know, take enemies down in here more efficiently. And by doing that, you're going to be able to farm endo more efficiently as well, because they drop like, you know, 50 endo a time, and the matches last, like, if you're a good player, about like maybe 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, depending on, you know, the warframes in your squad, the skill of the players, the rank of your mods, etc. You can actually turn this into a very efficient endo farming location. So I don't like it too much because I find it rather boring, and I would rather do something like Hyricon to get 400 endo and then maybe a bunch of relics or something, as well as farming resources at the same time, because you can't get resources from here as far as I'm aware. But that's just me, right? So you want to do these missions, you can bring Mesa in here, use your Peacemaker, use the exact same builds that I just shown you, and then, you know, just murder things in here if you're fourth ability, if you find the energy to do so. You can even just copy the Soma build. Like, this is the Soma build that I'm using. Basic crit build. I'm pretty sure I've showed this before. It's just, you know, duration, split chamber, heavy caliber, point strike, vital sense, and then you have your elements, which is corrosive plus fire. If you don't understand this, or you need a little bit more info on this, you can watch my Everything You Need to Know About the Soma. That's a new series that I've started as well, which is meant to like kind of work in correlation with this series. So you can check that there out, and then that's really all you need to sort of get through these missions effectively with Mesa, right? So we're going to jump into the assassination now. And it's going to be super easy. Like, you'll see how easy this is. Of course, this is probably like one of the better bosses in the game, because there's actual like stages to it, right? So we're doing this boss in the series before we're doing the boss on Pluto, because the boss on Pluto drops what's it called, Excalibur, which we started, or we started the game with, basically. So we're gonna be getting Saren from this boss, and I'm also gonna give you guys a few tips as to how to farm Mesa too, because I realized I kind of skimmed over that, and I didn't really like go into detail of how to sort of farm Mesa. So with farming Mesa, all you have to really do is make sure that you have the Patient Zero quests completed, and then once you have that completed, you're gonna have to farm these things called Alad V Muteless Coordinates, which is going to allow you to make an assassination key. And all you have to do from that point onwards is kill the muteless version of Alad V, and then that's how you get your Mesa parts, as well as buying the blueprint. So it's just the same as any other, you know, any other frame, except you have to do a few things beforehand, which makes the grind just that little bit more annoying, right? So that's really all there is to it. So you'll notice a change in tile set relatively soon, just progressing through this. If we go ahead and head, should be relatively close. Of course, I'm locked out. Our friendship door. Okay, we're not there yet. If you're struggling a little bit, go ahead, hit Shatter Shield, hit your second ability. Should be good to go. And then those enemies won't be able to, like, you know, hurt you at all, because, you know, their guns are jammed. So Mesa is a great frame to play with. So there's that. And then there's also, obviously, the fact that you can, like, pretty much one-shot these enemies now as well. So pretty good, not gonna lie. You can also pay attention to the Kela dialogue. I think Kela is a very interesting character. I just think there's more sort of lore or interest behind her. So this is where things kind of start to get a little difficult. If you have the Ignis, you may want to consider bringing that weapon here as well. But basically what you have to do is you have to stand on this button, and then that little thing is going to start rotating. Just fire at it, right? So fire all the buttons, and then that's going to happen. If you have like more than yourself coming, everyone's going to have to do that. And then you're going to go through this little intro animation here, which is going to introduce you to the boss. And she's going to be like, oh, hey, I'm Kela, Thaym, Lamau, you know? That stuff. So we're just going to skip that. And then she's going to drop down, get your abilities up, go on the Peacemaker, lay into her, and now she goes into her first immunity stage. And in this immunity stage, you're going to have to do the same thing that you just done, right? So the thing with these little spinning things, you have to stand on the button, and then you have to, like, shoot the ones that are highlighted in green, I believe. So that you do that after you avoid this orbital strike, and this orbital strike comes on every so often. So whenever you see the text come back up that the orbital strike's going to be coming in, that's when you head back to the center, and you start to sort of pre-fire all these buttons, like so, and make sure that you get them done. Now keep in mind, your Soma has a 100 round magazine, so you might be able to get like, you know, maybe like 3.5 of those done per time. So it's really good. So this fight shouldn't take long at all. Try to save your energy up, but if you do run out of energy, remember that you have Xeneric, which is your energy overflow, which is going to give you energy over time, right? So I have mines that, like, it gives me 1 energy per second right now, so that's pretty good. So she drops back down. We can head in the Peacemaker, lay into her like so, and now she's back into her second immunity stage, which is basically the exact same thing. So you just repeat the process over again. You wait for the orbital strike. There it is. It comes in 5 seconds. And then once the orbital strike ends, you do the exact same thing. And that's why the Ignis is so good here. Because the Ignis is going to make these little button things that you're standing on go so much faster. Because, you know, it's like a continuous beam. So you don't have to actually, like, aim and land your shots, right? So you just kind of spray into it with the Ignis, and it actually goes through it a little bit. Whenever the orbital strike comes in, can't shoot them anymore. Whatever here again. You can even bring Frost here if you really wanted to, like if you're struggling that much with the orbital strike. But personally, I find bringing a defensive frame here is a waste, because you can get this done so much faster with Mesa. So, you know. Okay, I think that's us all done. Yeah? Maybe? Think so. Yep, that's us all done. Kill her again. Like so. And that's it. Boss fight over. So she did cold prop me that time. You get like a rare mod from her. And then that's basically it. That's the boss fight done and dusted. So again, use your Xeneric. This is your Xeneric. Make sure to activate it whenever that little ball in the bottom right hand corner is completely full. Hold down 5. Not too sure what the controls are in console. And then that's it. That's literally all you have to do. And then you get that 1 energy per second regen. And then, you know, you'll be able to kill Kela in no time. So that's it. And this is how you farm Saren. Saren is a really cool frame, and this is also how you farm like really unique mods, which are like weapon specific. Not all of them are bad, but not all of them are good either. It just kind of depends like what weapon you're interested in using and what mod you get from here, really. Like you can't just get a mod from the Soma from here and like make it like 10 times better. It's only for like very niche sort of like weapons and stuff that people barely use. So one thing I will say, keep in mind to be doing your syndicates and stuff, because I've been sort of slacking in mine. Do your daily challenges to speed up the process and things like that. So remember, come in here, collect your medallions, etc. Do those, and then that's super easy. And then we're also going to be talking about what's it called, Equinox. So farm Equinox off Titania. I'll have her ready for the next video, and then I'll show you guys how to like efficiently farm the Mutilus Allied V coordinates from Auric and Derelict defense. But if you run down, I don't know if we actually have to buy it from the market. Let's see if we have to actually buy it. Mutilist. Okay, we don't, as far as I know. So once you have the Patient Zero quest done, you should just have that key in your inventory. Mutilus Allied V Assassinate. So you need these Mutilus Allied V nav coordinates. You can get these from invasions, or you can get those from playing in the Auric and Derelict defense, like I said. And Equinox makes that super insane. I'll be talking a little bit more about Equinox in the next episode, but I just wanted to kind of demonstrate why Mesa is so good versus Kela the Thaym And Mesa is basically like dedicated boss killer, right? So you can use Mesa in almost any sort of mission, really. Like, honestly, she's that good. And next off, we're going to be talking about Hades and Pluto, but we're not going to jump into that just yet. Because we need to actually get our animal beacons to actually play this, but you can go ahead and do it now because there's a invasion up for Hades, or not Hades, sorry, Forward. So you can get that done, but what you want to be doing here on Pluto is farming the animal beacons, which you get from actually killing a version of the Ambulance boss, which gets dropped in randomly, which you can kill very easily with Mesa as well. So you want to make sure that you have either Mesa or Nova coming into Pluto, because they'll just make the experience like 10 times easier for you. But other than that, you also have access to your sorties now as well, which is daily activities, which we'll jump more into once we have a frame like Equinox as well in our party. So the next few frames that we're going to be going for are Rhino, Equinox, and Necros. The reason that we're going to be picking up Necros is to just kind of make the master rank grind a lot easier, because realistically, as a player coming into the game, you want to get to at least master rank 14, because that way you can basically use everything in the game with the exception of Riven mods, which chances are, if you're a new player, you don't have a lot of yet unless you're heavily invested into them. So Necros will make sort of like stockpiling a bunch of materials very easy. He also, like I say, Equinox is going to make farming like things like defenses, survival, etc. relatively easy as well. And then Rhino is going to be good for your first ever raid or trial, which we're going to be talking about in this guide as well. So other than that, should wrap us up for this video. I just wanted to make a quick guide showing how to kill Kela the Thaym, because, you know, she's a relatively difficult boss if you don't know what you're doing. But other than that, guys, that is going to be it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, go ahead, hit that like button below. And if you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.